I won $8 million overnight. First thing I did, rushed to the hospital to pay for my son's surgery. That's when my phone rang. Ian, this guy from work, called. Emergency. Get back here now. My wife Mara took the bank card from me. Give me the PIN, she said sweetly. I'll handle the hospital bills. Go ahead, work's important. We'll be fine. In my past life, I didn't think twice. Trusted her completely and ran back to the office. My son never got that surgery. Instead, the cops showed up for me. Turns out Mara and Ian were working together. They framed me for stealing company money that Ian actually stole. No money meant no treatment. My son died in that hospital. My parents couldn't take it. Both had heart attacks and died. And me, I rotted in prison until I couldn't take it anymore. After I died, my spirit drifted to some fancy resort in the Maldives where Mara was vacationing. I heard her laughing with Ian. That idiot won all that money and wasted it on that sick kid. He dragged me into such a crappy life. She laughed even harder. Now they're all dead, and we get to enjoy the money forever. Think of it as payment from that moron. Haha. Then I opened my eyes. I was back in the hospital hallway, right at the moment Mara reached for my bank card. This time, I still gave her the PIN. Honey, let me take care of the bills. Go on. Work's important. Don't worry about us. My wife, Mara Miller, grabbed that card with $8 million on it. She sounded all sweet and caring, but her eyes were practically glowing with greed. Last time around, I trusted her completely. Never thought she'd take the money meant to save our son Jaden and team up with my coworker Ian Staffer to frame me for embezzlement. I got 10 years in prison. Jaden died without treatment. Even my parents died from heart attacks, one after the other. Their bodies were left on the street with nobody to help. Now that I got a second chance, I was furious. I wanted to rip that woman apart with my bare hands, but that would just land me back in jail. Not worth it. I needed to make Mara and Ian pay a different way. I grabbed her wrist tight. Thanks for handling this. This money's for saving Jaden. Make sure you send it to the right account. Last time, Mara didn't send the money to the hospital. She sent it to Ian's secret account instead. Something flickered in her eyes. She looked nervous. Don't worry, I'm not that careless. I smiled. Good. I turned around and the smile disappeared. Walking out of the hospital, I called the cops. Hi, I need to report a scam. 2 minutes ago, I got ripped off for $8 million. Please help me find who took it. What? 8 million? The officer got serious real fast and opened a case. Since the money just transferred, you're lucky you called so quick. We'll definitely help get it back. If you have any leads, come see us. I sounded panicked. Okay, thank you. That money's for my son's surgery. Please help. After hanging up, I smiled. I wasn't worried. The money would be back in my account soon enough. That's exactly how Mara and Ian framed me last time. But now, they were about to get a taste of their own medicine. My phone started buzzing like crazy. It was Ian. I ignored it on purpose. I knew he was trying to get me back to the office, trying to spring his trap. I laughed to myself. I grabbed a cab, but instead of going to work, I headed to the lottery office. Hi, I'm the guy who won $8 million this morning. I need official proof that I'm the winner, right now. Last time, I was so desperate to pay for Jaden's surgery that I skipped getting the official paperwork. That mistake cost me everything. After I got framed, I tried to get proof of my winnings, but Mara and Ian had already paid off the lottery office staff. They changed the winner's information to someone else, so I couldn't prove the $8 million was legally mine. Once I got the official paperwork proving I won, I even had them print out the transfer receipt. I wasn't giving Mara or Ian any chance to screw me over this time. My phone rang again. Still Ian, I answered. Jack, why aren't you back yet? Don't you know there's an emergency? This involves you. Mr. Madison wants you here. Now. Ian sounded all worried, but he wouldn't say what was actually going on. Classic manipulation move. I knew he was trying to freak me out, so I'd walk into his trap unprepared. I said calmly, sure, I'll be there. I took my time getting to the office. Ian looked disappointed and confused. Jack, how could you do this? Have you lost your mind? Stop talking in circles. Just say what you mean. Ian tried to hide his smugness. He raised his voice. Jack, drop the act. The company found out you've been stealing millions. Everyone in the office suddenly looked up at me, shocked. Jack always seemed so honest. Can't believe he'd do this. The company started investigating last week. Who knew it was Jack? You really can't judge a book by its cover. Looks honest, but he's just greedy. Why does he need so much money? Is he cheating on his wife? Hard to say. I heard his son's sick and needs surgery. Maybe that's why. Either way, stealing company money is illegal. Someone with no morals like that belongs in prison. Everyone stared at me with disgust, whispering. Ian smiled smugly. I stayed calm. I didn't steal anything. It wasn't me. Richard Madison, the general manager, yelled and threw a stack of papers at me. Jack, we have proof. Stop lying. I trusted you. I was even going to promote you last week. This is how you repay us? I looked through the pages. Financial reports. Records of suspicious transfers from the company system. Every transaction showed my name and employee ID. Then I saw the last page. The most recent transaction was 10 minutes ago. $8 million transferred from the company account into a bank account under my name. I pulled out my phone and checked my bank app. Sure enough, $8 million deposited 10 minutes ago. Richard barked. Jack, what do you have to say? My coworkers looked even more disgusted. The evidence is right there. Let's see him talk his way out of this. Just call the cops. We work our butts off just to make a living. What gives him the right to steal company money? Anger spread through the whole office fast. Everyone did basically the same work. Of course, they were pissed to see someone cheat the system and get rich overnight. Ian watched it all unfold, his eyes shining with satisfaction. I looked at Ian, but spoke to Richard. Mr. Madison, don't you think this is a little too convenient? I got here 10 minutes ago, and suddenly $8 million appears in my account. I'm betting Ian's the one who showed you all this evidence? Ian looked angry. So what if I did? We're coworkers, but I can't just let you hurt the company like this. That's why I reported you to Mr. Madison. I snorted. I'm not the only one with access to the financial system. Plus, last time I logged in, you deliberately came over to look. You must have seen my password. How do I know you didn't do this just to frame me? Richard thought it was weird too. They'd been investigating embezzlement all last week. It had nothing to do with me, but suddenly all the evidence pointed at me. Richard looked at Ian with suspicion. Ian panicked for a second, but quickly recovered. Mr. Madison, don't listen to Jack. I didn't just suspect him because of the records. I also have a witness. Yeah, I'm the witness. The whole office erupted. Everyone stared at Mara standing in the doorway, shocked. Isn't that Jack's wife? Oh my god. If his own wife is saying it, it must be true, Ian said smugly. Jack, even your wife reported you. What do you have to say now? I wasn't surprised Mara showed up. Last time, she appeared at just the right moment to deliver the final blow when everyone already thought I was guilty. Mara was a great actress. Her eyes got all red. Jack, I really didn't want to come forward, but I feel terrible, I sneered. Mara, if you really had a heart, you'd be at the hospital with our son, not here with Ian trying to frame me. Her eyes shifted, but she quickly recovered and yelled, I'm doing this for our son. I don't want you to keep making mistakes until there's no way back. Mara kept going, all righteous. If our son has a criminal for a father, he'll get bullied at school. He won't be able to hold his head up. Your mistake will destroy his future. Jack, it's not too late to confess. You'll just go to prison. That's the punishment you deserve. Ian jumped in. Mara's right. Jack, turn yourself in. If you cooperate, maybe you'll get less time. Yeah, you got caught. Being stubborn won't help. Just confess. You took money that wasn't yours, so you gotta pay the price. Jack, turn yourself in. Just like that, everyone decided I was guilty. People kept yelling at me to turn myself in. Mara and Ian could barely hide their excitement. I didn't panic at all. Instead, I said calmly, Mara, you're lying. If I'd stolen company money, our son would have had surgery a long time ago. I won $8 million today and gave you the card to pay for his surgery. Then you turn around and accuse me of stealing. How could you do this to Jaden, who's still lying in that hospital? When I mentioned our son, Mara didn't even flinch. She said, all righteous. I'm not lying. Why would I lie? Yes, Jaden needs the money to survive, but you can't steal. If you do, he'll just grow up being mocked and hated. I stared at Mara. Mara, Jaden is our only son. Are you really risking his life just to frame me? Her eyes went cold, but she said, Jack, I'm doing this for our son. Stop being stubborn and turn yourself in. I'll figure something out for Jaden's surgery. We'll wait for you to get out of prison. Mara's performance was so good that everyone started siding with her. I don't think his wife is lying. No mother would risk her son's life just to frame her husband. Yeah, they only have one kid. I'm sure it kills her to not have money for surgery, but Jack stole that money. No matter what, he shouldn't have taken it. Mara's got some sense. If there's no money for surgery, they could do a GoFundMe. That's way better than stealing from the company. Plus, he stole millions. The surgery doesn't cost that much. He's just using his son as an excuse, when really he wants to spend it on himself. Ian and Mara stood together, looking at me all smug. I kept a straight face, but I was confused. Mara always said our son's illness cost so much money and ruined her quality of life, but I just won $8 million in the lottery. With that money, we could cure our son and still have plenty left over. Plus, I was about to get promoted with a raise. Things were looking up. Why was she so determined to betray me with Ian? Ian was already married. Did she think if she teamed up with him, she could become his wife? Mara saw me standing there quiet. She thought I had nothing left to say. She touched her stomach and said sweetly, Jack, you broke the rules. You can't run from this. Just set a good example for your son. Turn yourself in. I promise I'll get him treated, okay? I glared at her. Besides money, there had to be another reason she betrayed me. Right then, Richard said impatiently, call the police. I looked at my phone and smiled. No need. They're already here. Right on cue, several cops walked into the office. Mara and Ian excitedly pointed at me. Officers, that's Jack Lowe. Arrest him. The officers looked at me and nodded. Then
the office fell silent. Ian froze. W, why are you asking for me? He stammered. The lead officer walked over with a folder in hand. We received a report that $8 million obtained through fraud had just been transferred through a series of bank accounts. We also received evidence that someone attempted to frame another person for embezzlement. Ian forced a laugh. Officer, you're mistaken. The thief is Jack. The officer didn't even look at him. We'll determine that after reviewing the evidence. Then he looked at me. Mr. Lowe, are you the person who reported the theft? Yes. I handed him the folder from the lottery office. This contains the official certificate proving I won the $8 million lottery this morning, along with the time it was claimed in the bank account where the prize was deposited. The officer glanced through it and nodded. Matches the report. Richard frowned. Wait, if that's true, then the $8 million in Jack's account wasn't stolen from the company. I smiled. It wasn't. Everyone looked confused. I continued calmly. The company claims $8 million disappeared 10 minutes ago. The lottery office confirms I legally received $8 million several hours before that. So tell me, I turned toward Ian. If I already had $8 million, why would I risk 10 years in prison stealing another $8 million? The office instantly became quiet. Someone finally whispered, he's right. If I already won the lottery, why would I steal? Richard's face darkened. He looked toward Ian. Ian's forehead was already covered in sweat. He quickly shouted, he's lying. Maybe the lottery documents are fake. I laughed. They're directly verified by the lottery office. The officers can confirm them. The lead officer nodded. We already contacted the lottery commission. The documents are authentic. Ian's face turned white. Before he could think of another excuse, I took out another document. Oh, and there's something else. Everyone looked over. This is the transfer authorization from my bank. It shows that immediately after receiving the lottery prize, I handed my bank card to my wife so she could pay for my son's surgery. The destination account should have been St. Mary's Children's Hospital. I slowly looked at Mara. So, can you explain why the money wasn't sent there? Mara's face instantly lost all color. She couldn't answer. The officer spoke coldly. We've already frozen the transfer. The $8 million never reached the hospital. It was redirected toward another private account. Everyone gasped. Richard's expression became uglier. A private account? The officer nodded. Yes. He flipped another page. The receiving account belongs to... He looked straight at Ian. Ian Stafford. Boom. The office exploded. What? No way. He sent Jack's money to his own account. So he was lying from the beginning? Ian panicked. Officer, that's impossible. Someone framed me. I couldn't help laughing. Funny. That's exactly what you wanted everyone to believe about me. Ian's legs began shaking. No, listen. I can explain. The officer ignored him. He looked toward Mara. Mrs. Miller, we also have surveillance footage from the bank. It shows you personally authorizing the transfer into Mr. Stafford's account. Mara's lips trembled. She instinctively looked toward Ian for help. That tiny movement was enough. Richard caught it immediately. His eyes widened. You two, you've been working together? The entire office stared at them. The whispers became louder and louder. I knew it. They were acting way too coordinated. No wonder she came here instead of staying with her sick child. What kind of mother does that? Mara suddenly burst into tears. No, Ian forced me. He said if I didn't help him, he'd expose. She immediately stopped herself. But it was too late. I narrowed my eyes. Expose what? Her face froze. Ian's expression became murderous. Mara, she realized she'd slipped. The whole office sensed there was something even bigger hidden beneath everything. I slowly smiled. Now they were turning on each other. Exactly like I wanted. And this was only the beginning. The lead officer held up his hand. Nobody leaves. Two more officers stepped forward and surrounded Mara and Ian. Ian forced a smile. Officer, this has to be a misunderstanding. The officer pulled out a tablet. We've already traced the transfer. The $8 million from Mr. Lowe's lottery winnings were redirected to an account registered under your name. Ian's smile vanished. Richard snatched the tablet from the officer. His hands trembled as he read. The account holder, Ian Stafford. Silence. Then the office exploded. You framed Jack. You stole his son's surgery money. You monster. Ian immediately pointed at Mara. She did it. She transferred the money. I didn't know anything. Mara stared at him in disbelief. You bastard. You promised we'd split everything. The moment those words left her mouth, she realized what she'd admitted. Ian's face turned deathly pale. Richard slammed his fist onto the conference table. So the two of you really planned this together. I took one step forward. Mara, you told everyone you cared about Jaden. So tell them. When the hospital called saying our son needed immediate surgery. Where were you? She lowered her head. I pulled out my phone. I'll answer for you. I pressed play. The office filled with the hospital recording. Mrs. Miller, your son's condition is deteriorating. If payment isn't received within the hour, we can't proceed with surgery. Everyone held their breath. Then Mara's cold voice came through the speaker. Stop calling me. That little brat isn't dying that fast. I have more important things to do. Click. The recording ended. The office was dead silent. Several employees covered their mouths. One woman burst into tears. Richard's eyes turned bloodshot. You abandoned your own child? Mara desperately shook her head. And no, I was just angry. I didn't mean it. I laughed bitterly. You didn't mean it? In my last life, you let him die. I watched our son wait for his mother until his last breath. You never came. Mara's entire body trembled. She tried to grab my arm. Jack, please. I was confused. I can explain. I stepped away, as though she were filth. Don't touch me. You stopped being Jaden's mother the moment you chose money over his life. The officers immediately handcuffed both of them. Ian screamed, Jack, please, tell them it was a misunderstanding. You know, prison will kill me. I looked him straight in the eye. My son died begging for help. Did you pity him? Ian's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Mara collapsed on her knees. Jack, please. I'm Jaden's mother. You can't do this to me. I looked down at her without the slightest emotion. You already did it to yourself. You're not his mother. A mother protects her child. You sold yours. The officers dragged both of them toward the elevator. Mara cried hysterically. Jack, I was wrong. I'll never do it again. Please let me see Jaden. I didn't answer. Months later, Jaden's surgery was a complete success. The lottery money had been fully recovered, and with the evidence uncovered during the investigation, Ian and Mara were convicted of fraud, conspiracy, and other serious financial crimes. On the day the verdict became final, Mara requested one thing. She wanted to see Jaden. Against my better judgment, I agreed. A thick sheet of glass separated them. Mara burst into tears the moment she saw him. Jaden, I'm Mommy. I missed you so much. Jaden looked at her quietly. Then he asked one simple question. When I was waiting in the hospital, why didn't you come? Mara froze. Tears streamed down her face. She couldn't answer. Jaden lowered his eyes. I thought maybe you got lost. I waited all day. I kept asking Dad when you'd come, but you never did. He reached over and held my hand. Then he looked at Mara one last time. My dad saved me. You left me to die. I don't have a mom anymore. He turned around without another word. Mara pounded on the glass, screaming his name as the guards pulled her away. Jaden, please. I'm sorry. Please call me Mom one more time. He never looked back. As the prison doors slammed shut behind her, Mara finally understood the cruelest punishment of all. She hadn't just lost her freedom. She had lost the right to ever be called Mom again. Epilogue. Mara's POV. The prison was quiet after lights out. Too quiet. Every night, I'd lie on the hard bunk, staring at the cracked ceiling, hearing the same words over and over. My dad saved me. You left me to die. I don't have a mom anymore. Those words hurt more than the iron bars around me. I used to tell myself I had no choice. That Jack was too ordinary. That Jaden's illness had ruined my life. That Ian loved me and would give me the luxurious future I deserved. I believed every lie I told myself, until the day Ian testified against me. He sat in court without looking at me once. It was all Mara's idea, he said. She was the one who convinced me. I screamed that he was lying, but I had done the same thing to Jack. The judge added years to my sentence. Ian got a lighter one for cooperating. Even in the end, he abandoned me without hesitation. Months passed. No one visited. Not my parents. Not my relatives. Not a single friend. The women in prison all knew why I was there. The child killer is back. Hide your pictures of your kids. She sold her own son for money. Every insult was another knife. I couldn't argue. They were telling the truth. One rainy afternoon, I saw a television report in the prison common room. Local businessman Jack Lowe donates $10 million to establish the Jaden Children's Heart Foundation, helping families who cannot afford life-saving surgeries. The camera showed Jack smiling as Jaden hugged him. My son looked healthy, happy, alive. The little boy who had once waited for me outside an operating room was laughing with children whose lives had also been saved. Then the reporter asked him, "Who inspired this foundation?" Jaden smiled. "My dad. He says every child deserves a chance to live." Not once did he mention me. The camera zoomed in on the plaque at the hospital entrance. The Jaden Lowe Children's Heart Foundation. Underneath were 5 words. Founded by Jack Lowe. There was no trace of me. No photograph. No acknowledgement. It was as if I had never existed. I finally understood. Jack hadn't taken revenge by hurting me. He had done something far crueler. He erased me from the life I threw away. Years later, my sentence ended. The prison gates opened. No one was waiting. I walked the streets alone with one small suitcase. People recognized me anyway. Some whispered. Some pointed. Others pulled their children a little closer. I found the courage to visit the hospital one last time. Across the courtyard, I saw a young man standing beside Jack. Jaden. He was taller than his father now. Healthy. Confident. Everything I'd once claimed I wanted for him. Jack noticed me first. He simply placed a hand on Jaden's shoulder. Jaden turned. For a brief second, our eyes met. Hope filled my chest. Maybe after all these years, he would forgive me. Instead, he looked at me with the calm eyes of a stranger. Then he smiled at Jack. "Dad, let's go." Jack nodded. The two of them walked away together. Neither of them looked back. I stood there until they disappeared into the crowd. Only then did I realize something. The greatest punishment wasn't prison. It wasn't losing the money. It wasn't losing Ian. It was living the rest of my life knowing my son survived, built a beautiful life, and chose to live it without me. That was a sentence no judge could ever hand down, and one I would serve until the day I died.